Today is the first Sunday of Advent. A new liturgical year begins. Our gospel text is taken from Matthew chapter 24, verses 33 through 44. We hear Jesus speaking to the people and recalling the story of Noah. Let me say a few words about storytelling, for Jesus is the master storyteller. It is his chosen way of teaching. We live in a culture that favors rational analysis and the logic that uncovers and uses, as if storytelling was not really important, had no way of conveying us to the truth or conveying truth to us. I think the opposite is true. Have you ever been to a film or a play or read a book or heard a story, maybe a true story, one that touches you deeply, one that opens new horizons for you, one that allows you to engage reality at a much deeper level? Typically, rational analysis can't do that. It may, but typically it won't. Stories typically do, if they're good stories. And so Jesus tells the story of Noah. We need to listen with the imagination to stories, myths, legends, if we are to be introduced to those new horizons, reality at depth. If we listen with the imagination here or think with the visceral mind, we can sense a tension that is created by Jesus' storytelling. There's a sense of something's going to happen. We don't know what it is. We don't know when it is. I'd suggest the nub of the tension is found in our not being in control. We don't know what, we don't know when, and therefore we are not in control. This upsets us. A good way, I think, to approach this gospel text is to recognize that there are two things happening. Jesus is actually revealing something. So there's truth being unveiled from Jesus' side. But he's also evoking within us. So there's something happening on our side. Truth being unveiled within us. The truth that Jesus is revealing to us, I think, is immensely subtle. It helps us to approach it through the truth that's being unveiled within us. So there's revelation and there's evocation. What is being evoked, the truth being unveiled in us, is not something of stories of old, religion, society, culture. What is being tweaked or evoked within us is a universal human reality that we are incomplete. Any reflective person knows the experience of the more than. We know the restless heart. We know the searching and the longing. We know that our very beings are shaped by expectation and desire. That raises an interesting and challenging matter for us as human beings. Perhaps dealing with this incompleteness and its manifestations is one of life's major tasks. Consider the possibility of what I would call the ricochet effect. If we do not acknowledge the incompleteness and the manifestations of that incompleteness and face them truthfully and realistically, we may find ourselves, at least implicitly and unconsciously, if not explicitly and consciously, ricocheting off. And we ricochet off our lives, our authenticity, our integrity. We leave these behind in pursuit of some fictional completeness, something that will assuage our anxiety, settle us down, make us feel good about ourselves. Such fictional completions are found, for example, in work, power, status, drugs, sex. And the point is not that power and drugs or sex or status or work are bad. They're not. What is bad in this equation is what we expect of them. If we expect them to complete us as human beings, we'll be sorely disappointed. And so, if the truth be told, most of us withhold ourselves. We camp somewhere between being sort of containing the discomfort of our incompleteness and its potential destructive effects, and dealing with it head on and allowing it to reconstruct our lives for us, lead us into the deeper horizons of authentic humanity. The gospel speaks to this precise situation and says, now come forth. Don't withhold yourself. There is a completion. Jesus of Nazareth, the Son of God, holds out to us a state of being in which the infinite, for which we hunger, and that is the reason why nothing finite will complete us. The infinite is available to us in and through God being in the flesh, through Jesus of Nazareth. In the Gospels, the kingdom is repeatedly spoken of. For example, we find in Mark, the kingdom is mentioned 15 times, in Luke about 40 times, in Matthew about 50 times, and in John's Gospel 5 times. They're all talking about this new state of being that is on offer with infinite horizons. In this can our humanity be completed. But it requires not withholding ourselves, but relinquishing ourselves, our limited horizons, allowing ourselves to address a what and a when we don't understand. Perhaps we can get an inkling of the what and the when. If we go to Matthew's Gospel in chapter 5, the Beatitudes. We meditate on those, and we can meditate endlessly and never completely understand what's on offer. We get a sense, again, the storytelling sense. There's a deep truth here. This is what is on offer. And if we go to Matthew chapter 6, where Jesus teaches the disciples to pray like this, he says, your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. I'd suggest this is a wonderful hint of the when and the what.